Hi there, Peter. Just checking if you can hear me.
Hi, Mayor Brown. Yes, you're coming through loud and clear, and we'll just get started in a moment. We're just waiting for a staff person to come back in chambers, and then we'll get started.
Okay, just to let you know, Peter, I'm going to be obviously on the phone today since the planning meeting was so quick. I have to call in.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Mayor, we can proceed.
Peter, I'm just looking for the annotated agenda. It's not opening on my phone. Could you just resend that to me quickly so I can pull it up?
Sorry, yes, I'll resend it to you. It was emailed to you this afternoon. I've just emailed it to you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, I found it here. So welcome to our special council meeting of September 26, 2022. The meeting has been called for a number of specific purposes as set out on the meeting agenda published on Sunday, September 25th. Under council's meeting rules, no other business can be reconsidered at this special meeting. We will begin the meeting with the city clerk calling the roll for attendance at today's meeting.
Members of council, I will call your name. Please indicate your presence. Councillor Dillon. Councillor Dillon.
Yes, here.
Councillor Singh.
Present.
Councillor Fortini. Councillor Fortini. I'll come back to you. Councillor Medeiros. Councillor Medeiros. I'll come back to you. Councillor Bowman.
Present.
Councillor Paleshi. Present in person. Councillor Willens.
I'm present, Peter.
Councillor Vicente. Present in person. Councillor Santos. Present in person. The mayor is present. Councillor Fortini. And Councillor Medeiros. appear to be absent at the moment, but Mr. Mayor, you do have a quorum present. You can proceed.
Okay, thank you to our clerk. We're now at agenda item number 2, approval of the agenda. We have a motion moved by Councillor
I'm on the
Santos.
board, Mr. Mayor.
Sorry, I don't see the board. Councillor Willens.
Yeah, I'm wondering through you, Mr. Mayor, to Peter. Is it possible that we move up after I think it's the planning minutes are up there first from this afternoon or from earlier this evening. Can we move up 5.5, 5.6, 5.7, 5.8 ahead? Because those are assumptions of cemetery. I'm assuming they're going to just, assumption of the subdivision, I'm assuming they're going to pass. So maybe we can deal with those items first on the agenda because there's probably staff that are waiting to hear, and I'm sure there's no questions on those. So if we could do that, and I don't know if we can move up 5.11 because I think there might be a report on that. I'm not sure. And can we move up 7.1 to 7.14 the bylaws, or does that have to wait?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, that should wait the bylaws to the end. So what
Okay.
I'd suggest is, as part of approval of the agenda, council could decide to move up 5.5, 5.6, 5.7, 5.8. The mayor may be going through and reviewing a possible consent motion, and these items would be eligible for consent, so they may be approved
Okay.
at the outset.
Okay, that's fine. Thanks. I wasn't sure if we're going to consent. That's fine. Thank you.
Okay, and through you, Mr. Mayor, just a few updates. The Planning and Development Committee summary of recommendations, which is 5.1 on tonight's agenda, that was just emailed to members of council just before the start of the meeting, arising from the meeting that just adjourned about a half hour ago. There is a bylaw listed on the agenda as 7.10. That bylaw is to be removed. It was included inadvertently, and staff will be proceeding with the bylaw at a future meeting. There was the bylaw 7.15, which I believe is another part law control bylaw. It was inadvertently missed from the original meeting, but it was captured in the purpose for which the special meeting was called. And finally, item 8.1, which is the only closed session item on tonight's agenda. It was a matter regarding an Ontario Land Tribunal matter. Work is continuing with that, and staff will be reporting at a future meeting. So the closed session item will be removed from the agenda, and there is no closed session business for tonight's agenda. And Mr. Mayor, Councillor Santos is on the board.
Yes, over to Councillor Santos.
Thank you through you, Mr. Mayor, to the clerk. Is it possible for us to go through a consent motion for the agenda?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes, I've proposed that in the mayor's annotated agenda for the staff reports that are on the agenda.
Okay.
Not for the discussion items, and it would be after declarations of interest, I believe it is.
Okay,
Yes.
perfect. Thank you.
Okay, are there any other people on the board?
There are none, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, so thank you for that. So we have a motion. Do we approve the agenda before we deal with the consent motion? Peter?
Yes, we should, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, so moved by Councillor Santos, seconded by Councillor Willens to approve the agenda. Is there anyone opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Declarations of interest on the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. We're now at item 3. Do any members have a declaration of pecuniary interest under the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act or any other matter to be considered on today's agenda? The clerk will so note for the meeting minutes. Now, council normally for a special meeting with a specific purpose to find the consent motion is not part of the special meeting agenda. Given the special meeting agenda includes a number of staff reports deemed to be urgent by city staff, if council wishes to consider a consent motion for some of these matters, we can do so with the consent of council or by a procedural motion to identify agenda business approval. So I'll ask the clerk to go through the items that would be eligible for a consent motion.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to members of council, the items eligible for consent motion would be 5.2, a staff report regarding City of Brampton Community Safety Action Plan 2022 to 2027. Item 5.1 are the minutes of the summary of recommendations. Because it was not included in the agenda, that's why it wasn't listed for consent. But if council wishes to add it for consent, 5.1, the summary of recommendations, that can be added. 5.5 is the staff report on subdivision release and assumption, registered plan 43M 1954, north of Beauvert and west of Heart Lake in Ward 2. 5.6 is a staff report on subdivision release and assumption, registered plan 43M 1835, north of Queen Street and east of Mississauga Road in Ward 5. Item 5.7 is a staff report on a subdivision release and assumption, registered plan 43M 2013, south of Castlemore Drive and east of McVean Drive in Ward 8. Item 5.8 is a staff report regarding a subdivision release and assumption, registered plan 43M 1946, north of Countryside Drive and east of Dixie Road in Ward 9. And finally, for consent consideration is item 5.11, a staff report regarding traffic bylaw 9393, administrative update.
Okay, so I don't hear any holds for all those items. Unless I hear a council member request one of those items, we can put them all into the consent agenda.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Sorry, is 5.3 and 5.4 still on?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, they are, because those items are not staff reports. I think they're discussion items.
So, Councillor Dillon, we're just approving all the staff items first, and then we can go to the discussion items.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so we require a motion for the consent motion. I have a motion moved by Councillor Willens and seconded by Councillor Paleschi to approve the consent motion. As per a process agreed by council, the consent motion is subject to a recorded vote. The clerk will take the vote and announce the results.
Members of council, please indicate your support or opposition to the consent motion. Councillor Dillon.
In favor?
Councillor Singh.
Yes.
Councillor Fortini. I do not see present. Councillor Medeiros. I do not see present at the moment. Councillor Bowman.
Yes.
Councillor Paleschi. That's a yes. Councillor Willens.
Yes.
Councillor Visante.
Yes.
It's a yes. Councillor Santos.
Yes.
It's a yes. Mayor Brown.
Yes.
It's a yes. Councillor Fortini or Councillor Medeiros. I do not see present in the session. So that carries unanimously, 8-0.
Okay, thank you, Peter. So this now takes us to announcements, delegations, and correspondence. We have proclamations. World Peace Day was September 21st. National Coaches Week was September 17th to 25th. Rail Safety Week was September 19th to 25th. National Forest Week was September 18th to 25th. Show Your Local Love Day was September 23rd. The National Day for Truth and Reconciliation will be coming up on September 30th. Rett Syndrome Awareness Month is October. The International Wrongful Conviction Day is October 2nd. Healthcare, Security, and Safety Week is October 9th to 15th. Are there any additional items, Peter, under announcements, delegations, or correspondence?
There are none, Mr. Mayor.
And we've now dealt with 5.1, so can we skip over that item?
Yes, we can go to 5.2 has been dealt with as well, so 5.3 is the next item. Discussion item at the request of Councillor Dillon regarding street naming for Avtar Ajla.
Okay, over to Councillor Dillon. Councillor Dillon?
Sorry, I'm just having trouble unmuting. And so I just was having a discussion with staff, and we had approved the street naming for Avtar Ojla, who was the first South Asian and woman councillor in Brampton's history. And so it was passed, I think, way back in 2021. At the same time, we did and the Honorable Gurbaksh Malli Park, and Gurbaksh Malli Park was named in December, and then we haven't had any updates on that since then. And so the family has been, probably on a bi-weekly or even a monthly basis, just been asking me when this is going to be happening. And it was originally moved by Councillor Medeiros, as it's in his ward. I've been in contact with the family as well, and so we just wanted to address that, get it done as soon as possible, and that we get the ceremony done in due time, just because they've been quite adamant that we get it done. So that's what this motion is. I think Councilor Medeiros could probably speak to it as well.
I don't believe Councilor Medeiros is on the call, Councilor Dillon, but I'm sure we could move that all members of council second the motion if that could help highlight this recognition.
No, absolutely, absolutely.
So moved by Councilor Dillon, seconded by Council. I don't see anyone on the board right now, so is there anyone opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. This takes us to our next item, which I believe is Councilor Dillon's as well.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, that's correct. That's item 5.4, the mural for Sidhu Moosewala. And there is a companion staff report identified as 5.13 on the special meeting agenda.
Yeah, so I'll speak to this, Mr. Mayor. So this was the Sidhu Moosewala was, if you recall, was a Brampton-based entertainer singer who passed away in May, and we had passed a motion that we would plant a tree, that there would be a mural as well. I guess just because of the delays in council, this was, you know, we didn't have council meetings. This was delayed, and so there's been again significant, questions in the correspondence from the community as to when this is going to happen. So we're just bringing this forward today for the actual the mural portion of it to be approved by council, and that the tree also be planted. If you recall, during discussions back then, Sidhu's mother had said, if you want to remember Sidhu Moosewala, you plant a tree in his memory. And so we, me and Councillor Singh had moved in. So his parents were expected to be coming, and I guess they were waiting. But in the meantime, the father had a heart attack, so he went to the UK to get an operation done. And so he's back in the UK. And unfortunately, they won't be coming down this time. But again, there's significant interest from the community to finally get that tree planting before it gets too cold. We don't want it to go into next year.
Okay, so once again, I suggest move by Councillor Dillon, seconded by all members of council. I don't see anyone on the board. So unless I hear anyone, we will move the motion. Anyone opposed to the motion put forward by Councillor Dillon? Hearing none, the motion carries. Now, Peter, we've dealt with a lot of the following items on consent, so the next item will be...
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the next item is 5.9, a discussion item at your request regarding the amendment to the park name for Gita Park.
Oh, of course. So there's obviously a lot of excitement with the community over Gita Park, which is tomorrow, but they requested all the Mundiers that requested this was that the full name be listed, not just Gita Park. And so we have a motion that was from communications, from the request from the community. So if we could put that on the screen. And the full name is Shri Bhagavad Gita Park. And so the clerk's office tells us that a motion was required to add the name, since the original motion only said Gita Park. So I don't see anyone on the board. So once again, if we can move this, I'm happy to move myself, seconded by Councillor Paleshi. It's in his ward. Anyone opposed to this motion? Hearing none, the motion carries.
The next item, Mr. Mayor, is 5.10, discussion item at the request of Councillor Santos regarding speed limits on local residential roads.
Councillor Santos, over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And so the many residents, as we can see from our various meetings over the past little while, have been concerned about speeding on specifically local residential roads. And in talking with Councillor Paleshi a few weeks ago, we were discussing that more recently, Beauvert had a speed reduction from 70 kilometers an hour to 60 kilometers an hour. And then as soon as you drive onto local residential roads, it's 50 kilometers an hour. And on a small little street where there are children playing in the neighborhood, 50 kilometers an hour is actually really fast. And due to our commitment to Vision Zero at the region here in Brampton, we have, there is an opportunity to follow perhaps what Mississauga and other municipalities have done to reduce local residential speed limits to 30 or even 40 kilometers an hour. But I can see and appreciate why 50 kilometers an hour looks too fast on our local residential roads. And so when we're implementing or wanting to implement various traffic calming measures, such as stop signs or speed bumps or what have you, and the traffic study comes back that in fact there isn't speeding, correct, there isn't speeding. Perhaps the average is 50 kilometers an hour on a local residential road, but again, that is too fast with a lot of children who are playing on the streets or nearby the sidewalk, for example. And so in consultation with some of my colleagues, including Councillor Paleshi, Councillor Vicente, obviously, who are here today, we would like for staff to report back on how to implement and the cost associated with reducing the speed limits on local residential roads, similar to what Mississauga and or other municipalities have done. And that is it. I think it just makes sense for us to look at speed reductions as we prioritize Vision Zero and the most vulnerable users, especially on our local residential streets. And that's the motion.
Okay, is there anyone else that would like to comment?
So, Mr. Mayor, it's Paul Morrison. May I speak?
Yes.
Okay, and it's a good question by Councillor Santos. What we'd like to do is take that back. It takes a little bit more than just looking at what others are doing. We have to make sure we secure the enforcement ability from the Peel Regional Police. To have a 40 or 30 kilometer an hour zone is one thing. To enforce it is another. But we'd be happy to bring back a full report.
I can respond.
So maybe, would it be a friendly amendment, Councillor Santos, to include in the staff report enforcement mechanisms?
Yeah, thank you through you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate CAO Morrison's comments. I would imagine that's part of what Mississauga did as well, and or other surrounding municipalities when they reduced their speed limits on local residential roads. And so I guess my response is whatever it takes to reduce those speeds. And I think our many residents, especially parents, would appreciate seeing more enforcement and perhaps starting to shift some of that behavior on our local roads as well.
Okay, Councillor Bowman.
Thank you very much through you, Mr. Mayor. It may be very quick to get that information because I did bring that up in, I think, 2017 in regards to the streets in Peel Village and Bartley Bowl when we were talking about reducing the bowl speed to 40 and putting those signs up. So I believe it was Mike Parks possibly back then that also was involved in looking at reducing all the interior streets to 35K. So that report may be around somewhere. Thanks.
Okay, any other comments? Seeing none, we have the motion on the floor, moved by Councillor Santos, seconded by Councillor Paleshi. Is there anyone opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Now, Peter, looking at the subsequent items, a lot of them are traffic calming. Are there any of these that we could put together in one motion?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, that's possible. 512 is on stop signs on Maisonneuve. 514 is speed bumps on Squire Ellis between John Carroll and Martin Byrne. 515 is always stop at Maisonneuve and Sofitel Riva Ridge. 516 is speed bump on Yellow Evans Footbridge. And 517 is a staff report to report back on Yellow Avens and Countryside traffic lights, which I believe may already have been addressed through a council resolution on September 12th or August 26th. But all those could be dealt with together if that's the will of council.
So I'm going to suggest, in the goal of expediting the meeting, that we move these motions moved by Councillor Dillon, seconded by Councillor Singh and Mayor Brown, since these are all Ward 9 and 10 issues that we're all quite aware of. And Councillor Dillon, I think these are pretty straightforward, but did you want to speak to it? I don't hear Councillor Dillon wishing to speak to it, but I see Councillor Fortini wishing to speak. So, Councillor Fortini.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to add also a street on Strather and Gore. The poles actually are there, like the bolts and everything underground, but there's no poles. They've been there since the road has been built, and I have a lot of complaints there. If we could also add that one right on the intersection.
Sorry, Councillor Fortini, this is a special meeting called for a specific purpose. So my advice to you, Mr. Mayor, is these are not general items, these are specific items. So council should not be just adding additional streets and intersections to review. This is a special meeting call for the purposes set out in the special meeting call.
So, Mr. Clerk, how did these things get on these agendas? I was never even aware anything was coming on until I got an email special council meeting. So I guess the mayor then must have gone around, and because I was never told, hey, you want anything on the special council meeting? And I'm sure other councilors the same.
So, Councillor Fortini, these were issues that were raised by Councillor Dillon. He said if we had a special council meeting, he liked them added, as was Councillor Santos's. And I certainly support your traffic calming initiative. And the next time we meet, I'm happy to add that as well. I think there's no division amongst anyone on any traffic calming initiative. And if the clerk told me that we could add it to the motion, I'd happily do so. But I know we all like to adhere to the clerk's procedural advice.
No, and I get what you're saying. The thing is, you have a special council meeting. That means someone went around and said, hey, I'm having a special council meeting. Would you like to add anything? And I'm sure some of us councilors didn't even know about the stuff until we got an email. So anyway, I'll wait for the next special council meeting, I guess, next term. Thank you.
Okay, so we have the motion on the floor.
Through you.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, sorry, Councillor Santos is on the board.
Okay, Councillor Santos.
Thank you through you, Mr. Mayor. Because my item was mentioned as part of the comments. The only reason why my item is on there is because I believe at the last meeting, Mr. Mayor, you had shared and invited all members of council to take initiative and share whatever topics they wanted added on any special council meeting. And so I guess, I mentioned to you this particular item, and I would imagine Councillor Dillon did the same thing. Thank you.
Yeah, once again, I reiterate, we're all on the same page. Traffic calming is helpful. I know we all hear a lot from our residents about reckless driving, and I'm sure there'll be time to make sure every item that is raised by a councillor gets attended to. So we have the motion on the floor. Is anyone opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Peter, where does this take us next?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, this takes us to public question period, item 6. And I'm just confirming, I did check a moment ago, there were no questions. Just going to check again. And there are no questions, Mr. Mayor. So we can move on to bylaws.
Yeah, this takes us to bylaws. We're now at the portion of the meeting dealing with adoption of city bylaws. To give effect to the council decisions made at this meeting, I have a motion moved by Councillor Santos and seconded by Councillor Willens to approve the bylaws. Is there anyone opposed to this motion? Otherwise, your vote will count in the affirmative. Hearing none, this motion carries. This takes us to, there is no closed session. This takes us to the confirming bylaw. I have a motion moved by Councillor Basante and seconded by Councillor Singh to approve the confirming bylaw to confirm the meeting proceedings and decisions from this meeting. Is there anyone opposed to this motion? Otherwise, your vote will count in the affirmative. Hearing none, the motion carries. This takes us to our last item of business, which is item 10. Council is next scheduled to meet Tuesday, October 18th, 2022, a special meeting. And I have a motion, so we need a motion to adjourn them. Unless, Peter, knowing that the items on October 18th are already dealt with, would there be a motion to cancel that meeting?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, there can be, but as I'd advised previously, this was a meeting that was called by a petition by a majority of the members of council. So I'm bound by that under the Municipal Act. But you are correct that the purposes for which that meeting was called, those two items, have been addressed by council. So I will be canvassing the members of council again to hopefully get a majority of members of council that will agree to have that meeting canceled.
Instead of canvassing, can we just take a vote? We need a motion.
If a vote carries with 6 members of council, then that would be deemed to have the same equivalence of a petition.
Councillor Fertini, did you want to speak to that?
No, Mr. I had it from the last item, but I guess it passed already. Just to give us advice next time a little bit earlier, so I could add some stuff on it. No, it's all good. Thank you.
Okay, does anyone want to move a motion to deal with October 18th, or should we do that by petition?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, Councillor Visante and Palashi said they would move it. Councillor Visante is on the board.
Okay, Councillor Visante.
Thank you. Happy to move it, seeing as the items are dealt with.
Okay, any other speakers?
Yeah, Councillor Bowman?
Councillor Bowman?
I don't believe we can vote on canceling this meeting, as this wasn't part of the special agenda for this meeting. It's a meeting that's already been scheduled, so I believe that this would have to be done through a petition of council.
Over to the clerk.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, it does relate as it's on the agenda, because that was the last item on the agenda before was adjournment, which is to identify when the next meeting is. If there are 6 members of council that clearly state that they do not want to have the meeting on the 18th, then I will take that as the equivalent of a petition and cancel the meeting. If it does not carry with 6 members of council, then I will continue to petition the members for the potential cancellation of the meeting. If failing to get 6 members of council to agree to cancel that meeting, the clerk's office will proceed in accordance with the Municipal Act for that meeting on the 18th.
Okay, we have the motion moved by sorry.
Can we speak to this?
Yes.
Sorry, this is the last meeting, is that correct? Or is this, which meeting is this? Is this a regular council meeting or one it's a special council meeting that was called for the 18th?
Yeah, special council meeting.
Okay, all right, that's fine.
Okay, we have the motion moved by Councillor Basante, seconded by Councillor Paleshi to cancel the meeting on October 18th. We'll have a record a vote to make sure there's 6 votes. Over to Peter.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes, Councillor Visante is on the board. Sorry.
Thank you. Thank you. Through you, Mayor. So just to confirm through you, Mayor, to the clerk, the items for the October 18th meeting have been dealt with in previous meetings. Is that correct?
They have been dealt with by council resolution. That's correct.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Sorry, can I speak again as well, Councillor, to the mayor?
Yes, Councillor Dillon.
Yeah, I just want to speak to how hectic the election has been, and the pressure it's put on. I can speak for myself as well. The 18th is really cutting it close to election day, and I feel like if there's any particular matters that need to be addressed, that we that we call a special council meeting. I wasn't able, just because of the hectic schedule. I wasn't expecting there to be this many meetings. I wasn't able to attend the regional council meeting. I missed an important vote that day as well for the 413. And so I would agree on in this situation to cancel it. If anything else comes, any matter that comes, and I think we can deal with it at a special council meeting. But I think it's much too close to election day, and I don't know if we'd be able to even get to that. So just wanted to get that out there.
Councillor Bowman, I see your name on the board again.
Thank you very much, through you, Mr. Mayor. Well, it looks like there's going to be 6 votes for it anyways, but I just wanted to make the point that when we talk about this special council meeting, which was agreed to by the majority of council to cover off items having to do with the audits, the forensic audits, even though they're canceled, if perhaps there is a court challenge to the decision that was made to cancel those RFPs, then there would still be a reason to have that meeting open and be able to discuss that, since it was called by 6 members of council. But hearing other councillors, it's obvious that 6 are going to vote for it, so we may as well call the vote.
Okay, over to the clerk.
A recorded vote's been requested on the motion on the screen, moved by Councillor Vasante, seconded by Councillor Paleshi. All in favor or opposed, please indicate. Councillor Dillon.
In favor?
Councillor Singh.
Yes.
Councillor Fortini. Councillor Fortini. I'll come back to you. Councillor Medeiros.
No.
Councillor Bowman.
No.
Councillor Paleshi. That's a yes. Councillor Willens.
No.
Councillor Vasante. Yes. It's a yes. Councillor Santos. Yes. It's a yes. Mayor Brown. Excuse me.
Yes.
It's a yes. Councillor Fortini. Councillor.
Yeah, sorry, Peter. No.
That's a no. The motion carries 6-4. So through you, Mr. Mayor, the meeting will be canceled by the clerk's office in accordance that the equivalent of a petition by a majority of the members of council has been achieved.
Okay, and now we have a motion moved by Councillor Santos, seconded by Councillor Singh, to adjourn today's meeting.
Through you,
Is there
Mr.
anyone
Mayor, there is
opposed to
no
this?
further motion. This
Oh, okay,
motion
we
was
don't
two
need to
parts.
adjourn?
Yeah,
Okay.
to adjourn and to cancel.
Okay, well, thank you everyone for coming on, and thank you for the staff who highlighted the urgent items we needed to wrap up.